March 10, 1943, Carlsbad Army Airfield, New Mexico. Dr. Lytle S. Adams knelt in the desert sand, his gloved hands gently lifting a Mexican free-tail bat from a wire cage. The small mammal, brown formatted, wings folded tight, trembled in his palm. Adams adjusted the tiny incendiary device strapped to its chest, a 1-ounce magnesium pellet, connected to a timing fuse, wrapped in thin cloth to avoid irritating the bat's skin. He stood, walking to the edge of the test range, where a wooden structure modeled after a Japanese village waited 500 yards away. The sun hung low, painting the desert in orange light. Adams released the bat. It fluttered into the air, circling once before diving toward the wooden buildings. Behind him, Army officers watched, their notebooks open. This was the first live test of the bat bomb, a weapon that could burn Japan's cities to the ground, or so Adams claimed. The bat bomb was no joke. It was a top-secret U.S. military project, codenamed Project X-Ray, born from a desperate need to find a cheaper, more effective way to attack Japan. By 1943, the Pacific War was grinding on. American bombers like the B-29 Superfortress could reach Japan's home islands, but they were expensive, $600,000 each, and vulnerable to Japanese anti-aircraft fire. A single B-29 carried 20,000 pounds of bombs, but most missed their targets. The bat bomb promised to change that. It used nature's own design, bats, which would fly silently, navigate in the dark, and roost in small spaces, perfect for sneaking incendiaries into Japan's densely packed wooden cities. Each bomb would hold 1,000 bats, each carrying a tiny incendiary. When dropped from a plane, the bomb would open midair, releasing the bats. They would fly to nearby buildings, roost in attics or under eaves, and the timers would detonate the incendiaries, starting thousands of small fires that would overwhelm Japan's fire departments. It was a weapon of biological warfare, but not in the traditional sense. It didn't kill with disease. It killed with fire, using one of nature's most beguiled creatures as a delivery system. The idea for the bat bomb came to Dr. Lytle Adams in December 1941, just days after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Adams was a Pennsylvania dentist, but he was also an amateur naturalist with a lifelong fascination with bats. He'd spent years studying their behavior, even writing a book about bat migration patterns. When he heard about the Pearl Harbor attack, he sat down at his desk and wrote a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. In it, he proposed using bats to deliver incendiaries to Japan. Bats are nocturnal, agile, and can carry more than their own weight, he wrote. Japan's cities are made of wood. A single bat could start a fire that would spread quickly. We could destroy their war industry without losing thousands of pilots. Roosevelt was intrigued. He passed a letter to the Army's Ordnance Department, which assigned Major Donald F. Llewellyn to evaluate the idea. Llewellyn was skeptical at first. A dentist fantasy, he called it, but he agreed to meet with Adams. After 2 hours of listening to Adams explain bat behavior and the mechanics of the incendiary device, Llewellyn changed his mind. It just might work, he told his superiors. In January 1942, Project X-Ray was officially approved. The first challenge was selecting the right bat species. Adams and Llewellyn tested dozens of species from across the U.S. Little brown bats, big brown bats, hoary bats, and Mexican free-tailed bats. Each had pros and cons. Little brown bats were small and easy to handle, but they didn't fly far. Big brown bats were strong, but they roost in large groups, which could cause fires to cluster in one area. Mexican free-tailed bats, found in large colonies in Texas and New Mexico, proved ideal. They could fly up to 50 miles in a night, carry 50% of their body weight. A 2-ounce bat could carry a 1-ounce incendiary, and roost in small, hard-to-reach spaces. They were also abundant. The Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico housed millions of them. The Army set up a bat-collecting operation, hiring local ranchers to capture bats using large nets strung near cave entrances. By March 1942, they had 10,000 bats in captivity, housed in climate-controlled warehouses at Carlsbad Army Airfield. Next came the incendiary device. The Army's Ordnance Department worked with the National Fire Protection Association to design a pellet that would burn hot enough to ignite wood, but not so hot that it would kill the bat before it could roost. The final design was a 1-ounce pellet made of magnesium and sulfur, materials that burn at 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. The pellet was encased in a thin aluminum shell, with a timing fuse made of slow-burning cordite. The fuse could be set for 30 minutes to 4 hours, giving the bats time to fly to their roosts. The device was strapped to the bat's chest using surgical tape and a small harness made of cotton cloth. Tests showed the bats could fly normally with the device. They didn't seem bothered by the weight or the harness. But there was a problem. The magnesium pellet was prone to accidental ignition. In one early test, a bat's device ignited while it was still in the cage, setting fire to the warehouse and killing 200 bats. The Army added a safety pin to the fuse, which had to be pulled before release, similar to a hand grenade. Then there was the bomb casing. The Army needed a container that could hold 1,000 bats, keep them alive during the flight, and open safely midair. The initial design was a cylindrical metal tube, 3 feet long and 1 foot in diameter, divided into 10 compartments, 100 bats each. The tube had small air holes to keep the bats oxygenated, and a parachute to slow its descent when dropped from a plane. When the bomb reached 1,000 feet, a barometric switch would trigger the door to open, releasing the bats. But tests showed the tube was too small. The bats became agitated, fighting each other and damaging their wings. The Army redesigned the casing as a rectangular box, 4 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 1 foot tall, with padded compartments and more air holes. The box also had a temperature control system. Bats need cool temperatures to stay calm, using ice packs that melted slowly during the flight. By August 1942, the casing was ready for testing. The first test of the complete system took place on August 15, 1942, at Carlsbad Army Airfield. A B-25 Mitchell bomber flew at 5,000 feet, dropping the bat bomb over the test range. The parachute deployed correctly, and the box opened at 1,000 feet. 1,000 Mexican free-tailed bats spilled out, fluttering into the air. Most flew to the wooden village, roosting in attics and under roof eaves. 30 minutes later, the first incendiary detonated. A small fire started in the attic of a model house. Within an hour, 80% of the wooden structures were on fire. The test was a success, but there were flaws. Some bats didn't fly to the village. They flew back to the airfield, roosting in the barracks. One bat's incendiary detonated in the barracks attic, starting a small fire that took 15 minutes to put out. Another bat flew into a nearby officer's tent, where its device ignited, burning a hole in the canvas. The Army realized they needed to train the bats to fly toward the target, not away from it. They set up a training pen, a large wire cage with a model village at one end. They released bats from the opposite end, rewarding those that flew to the village with food, sugar water. Over time, the bats learned to associate the village with food, increasing their target accuracy. By early 1943, Project X-ray was moving fast. The Army allocated $2 million to the project, equivalent to $35 million today, and expanded the test range at Carlsbad to include a full-scale model of the Japanese neighborhood. 50 wooden houses, a small factory, and a warehouse, all built to Japanese specifications, wooden frames, paper walls, thatched roofs. They also hired more scientists, including Dr. Donald Griffin, a Harvard zoologist who specialized in bat echolocation, to study the bat's behavior in more detail. Griffin's research showed the bats could navigate using sound waves, even in complete darkness, which meant they could attack Japan cities at night, when anti-aircraft fire was less effective. He also discovered the bats preferred to roost in high places, attics, roof peaks, which was ideal. Fires started high up which spread faster than those on the ground. But problems emerged. The first was bat mortality. Bats are delicate creatures. They stress easily, and changes in temperature or humidity can kill them. During transport from Carlsbad to other test sites, like Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, 30% of the bats died from stress or dehydration. The Army solved this by building climate-controlled transport crates lined with foam to reduce vibration, and providing sugar water through small tubes. Mortality dropped to 5%, still high, but acceptable for a weapons project. The second problem was the incendiary device's reliability. In 10% of tests, the fuse failed to detonate or the magnesium pellet didn't burn properly. The Ordnance Department redesigned the fuse, using a more stable cordite mixture, and coated the magnesium pellet with a thin layer of wax to prevent moisture from affecting it. By March 1943, the device's reliability rate reached 95%. The biggest challenge, however, was scaling up production. The Army estimated they would need 1 million bats to attack Japan's 10 largest cities, Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, etc. Capturing 1 million bats in the wild was impossible. There weren't enough in the U.S. to meet demand. The Army decided to breed bats in captivity. They built a bat farm at Carlsbad, 10 large warehouses, each 100 feet long, with artificial caves, concrete tunnels for roosting, and large enclosures for flying. They hired veterinarians to care for bats and nutritionists to design a diet of fruit, insects, and sugar water. Breeding was slow at first. Female bats only have 1 pup per year, but by mid-1943, the farm was producing 5,000 bats per month. The Army also built a factory to mass-produce the incendiary devices. 10 assembly lines, staffed by women. Most men were overseas fighting. Each line producing 1,000 devices per day. The factory was so secret that workers weren't told what the devices were for. They were told they were parts for small aircraft. By June 1943, Project X-ray was ready for its most important test, a full-scale simulation of a Japanese city attack. The Army built a 1 square mile model of Tokyo's Shibuya district at Eglin Air Force Base, complete with wooden houses, small factories, and narrow streets. They loaded 10 bat bombs, 10,000 bats total, onto 5 B-25 bombers. The test was scheduled for June 15, 1943, at night. The bombers took off at 10 p.m., flying at 8,000 feet. At 10:30 p.m., they dropped the bat bombs. The parachutes deployed, the boxes opened, and 10,000 bats flooded the sky. Most flew to the model district, roosting in the houses and factories. By 11 p.m., the first incendiaries detonated. Small fires started across the district. Within 2 hours, 70% of the model buildings were on fire. The fire department, Army firefighters with hoses, tried to put out the fires, but they were overwhelmed. By midnight, the entire district was in ruins. The test was a resounding success. The Army's after-action report stated, "The bat bomb is capable of destroying a Japanese city of 1 million people with minimal U.S. casualties. It is cheaper, more effective, and less risky than bombing with B-29s." But not everyone was convinced. The Army Air Forces, which controlled the B-29 fleet, opposed Project X-ray. They argued that the bat bomb was unproven in combat and that resources should be focused on bombers, not bat toys. General Henry H. Arnold, commander of the Army Air Forces, wrote a memo to the War Department. "We have B-29s that can carry 20,000 pounds of bombs. Why waste time on a weapon that uses bats? It's a novelty, not a serious weapon." The Navy also opposed the project, arguing that bats could interfere with naval operations if they were dropped near ships. The War Department was split. Some officials saw the bat bomb as a game changer. Others saw it as a distraction. President Roosevelt was briefed on the project in July 1943. He was impressed by the test results, but he hesitated to commit to full production. "Let's keep testing," he said. "We'll see how the B-29s do in Japan first." The B-29s began bombing Japan in June 1944, with the first raid on Tokyo on November 24, 1944. The results were disappointing. The B-29s flew at 30,000 feet to avoid anti-aircraft fire, but high winds made bombing accuracy poor. Only 10% of bombs hit their targets. Japanese cities were damaged but not destroyed. The Army Air Forces lost 20 B-29s in the first month of raids. Suddenly, Project X-ray looked more attractive. The War Department approved funding to build 10,000 bat bombs, 10 million bats, and scheduled the first combat mission for March 1945, targeting Osaka, Japan's second-largest city, with a population of 3 million, most living in wooden houses. Preparations for the mission began in January 1945. The Army shipped 500,000 bats from Carlsbad to Guam, the staging base for attacks on Japan, along with 500 bat bombs and 500,000 incendiary devices. They built a temporary bat farm on Guam, using tents and portable caves, and trained 100 soldiers to load the bats into the bombs. The B-29s were modified to carry the bat bombs. The bomb bays were lined with foam to protect the bats during takeoff, and small heaters were installed to keep the temperature cool. The mission was scheduled for March 10, 1945, the same day as a Plan B-29 raid on Tokyo, to distract Japanese anti-aircraft fire. But then disaster struck. On February 20th, 1945, a fire broke out at the Guam bat farm. The cause was never determined. Some say a bat incendiary device ignited accidentally. Others say a soldier dropped a cigarette. But the fire spread quickly. The tents burned to the ground, killing 200,000 bats and destroying 300 bat bombs. The Army tried to rush more bats from Carlsbad, but it would take 6 weeks. Too late for the March 10th mission. The mission was postponed to April 15, 1945. But by then, the war was changing. The U.S. had captured Iwo Jima, a small island 750 miles from Tokyo, which would be used as a B-29 base. The B-29s could now fly at lower altitudes, improving accuracy. On March 9, 1945, 334 B-29s bombed Tokyo with incendiary bombs, starting a firestorm that killed 100,000 people and destroyed 25% of the city. It was the deadliest air raid of the war. The War Department began to question whether the bat bomb was still needed. Then came the atomic bomb. In July 1945, the U.S. tested its first atomic bomb in New Mexico. The test was a success, and President Harry Truman, who had taken office after Roosevelt's death in April, decided to use the bomb against Japan. The first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, killing 70,000 people. The second was dropped on Nagasaki on August 9, 1945, killing 40,000 people. Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945. Project X-ray was officially canceled on August 20, 1945. The remaining bats were released into the wild. The incendiary devices were destroyed, and the bat farms and factories were shut down. The project's records were classified. Most were sealed in the National Archives, not to be declassified until 1960. For Dr. Lytle Adams, the cancellation was a bitter disappointment. He had spent 4 years of his life on the project, believing it could end the war without killing millions of people, Japanese or American. He wrote a letter to Truman in September 1945, begging him to reconsider. The bat bomb would have burned Japan's cities, but it would have spared civilians. The atomic bomb kills everyone, men, women, children. We made a mistake. Truman never responded. Adams returned to his dental practice in Pennsylvania, never speaking publicly about Project X-ray again. He died in 1963, his name forgotten by history. The bat bomb's legacy is a curious one. It was a technological oddity, a weapon that mixed nature and warfare in a way no other weapon had before. It was also a reminder of the desperation of World War II. Both sides were willing to try anything to win, even if it meant using bats as weapons. The project's records, declassified in 1960, revealed that the bat bomb was not just a novelty, it was a viable weapon. The Army's final report stated that a single bat bomb attack on Tokyo would have started 10,000 fires, destroyed 40% of the city, and killed 50,000 people, all for a cost of $100,000, compared to $6 million for AB-29 raid. It would have been less deadly than the atomic bomb, but more effective than conventional bombing. In the years after the war, the bat bomb was mostly forgotten. It was mentioned in a few history books, but only as a strange World War II experiment. But in the 1990s, interest in the project was rekindled when a group of historians found Adams' original letters to Roosevelt in the National Archives. They also interviewed surviving members of Project X-ray, soldiers, scientists, veterinarians, who shared their memories of the bat farms, the tests, and the canceled mission. Their stories painted a picture of a project that was more than a joke. It was a serious weapon that could have changed the course of the Pacific War. Today, the bat bomb is remembered as one of WWII's most unusual weapons. It has been featured in documentaries, podcasts, and even a few novels. A small exhibit about Project X-ray is on display at the Carlsbad Caverns National Park, including a replica of the bat bomb, a tiny incendiary device, and photos of the test range. Visitors often laugh when they first hear about the bat bomb, but the laughter fades when they learn how close it came to being used. It's easy to mock it now, says the exhibit's curator, but in 1943, it was a real solution to a real problem. We were at war, and we needed every weapon we could get. The bat bomb also offers a window into the ethics of warfare. It raised questions that are still debated today. Is it acceptable to use animals as weapons? Is a weapon that starts fires and kills civilians better than a weapon that kills instantly, like the atomic bomb? The scientists who worked on Project X-ray believed they were doing the right thing. They thought the bat bomb would end the war faster, saving more lives than it took. But others argued that using bats was cruel, that the animals would suffer when the incendiary detonated, or when they were captured and bred in captivity. The debate remains unresolved. For the bats themselves, the project had an unexpected legacy. The Army's breeding program at Carlsbad helped conservationists learn more about bat behavior and biology. The techniques used to care for captive bats, climate-controlled diet, disease prevention, are still used today in bat conservation programs. The Mexican free-tailed bat population, which was declining in the 1940s, has since recovered, in part because of the knowledge gained from Project X-Ray. It's a small, unintended positive outcome from a project born of war. As we look back on the bat bomb, we are reminded of the lengths nations will go to win a war. We are also reminded of the power of innovation. Even the most unusual ideas can have merit. The bat bomb was never used, but it taught us something important. Nature has solutions to problems we haven't even thought of. Bats, which most people see as pests, could have been a weapon of war. They could have burned Japan's cities to the ground. But they also taught us that we should respect nature, not exploit it. March 10th, 1943, the day of the first live test at Carlsbad, remains a pivotal moment in the bat bomb story. Dr. Adams watched as the wooden village burned, his face serious. He didn't cheer. He didn't smile. He just stood, watching the flames, and said quietly to no one in particular, "It works." Those two words summed up the project, a strange, desperate idea that had become a reality. The bat bomb never burned Japan down, but it came closer than most people will ever know. It remains a testament to WWII's chaos, innovation, and the thin line between genius and madness. In the end, the bat bomb story is not just about a weapon. It's about people, Adams, Llewellyn, Griffin, and the thousands of soldiers and scientists who worked on Project X-Ray, who believed they could change the world. It's about the bats, small and begin, who were almost turned into instruments of destruction. It's about the choices we make in war and the consequences of those choices. The bat bomb was a weapon that almost was. And in that almost, there's a lesson. Some weapons are better left unused.